Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me for a little bit. I know it's pretty rare for me to make a video like this, but starting something like a Patreon is pretty personal, or very personal, so it only felt right to make something like this. In this video, I just want to briefly talk about why I'm doing this and how I got started, just so you guys get a better feeling for who I am and who you are supporting. I will not be talking about the details and such though. I want to, keep it brief and yeah, just tell you my story a little bit. So, to get started, I've always really enjoyed drawing or art in general, but I never really did anything with it, and that's because I never really thought that art could contribute to my future. So even during high school, I dropped art classes as soon as I could, just because I didn't see any use for it. But that all changed ever since I joined a community called Andonoz. And on that community, you have like a latest tab where you see the latest posts, obviously. And there was this one artist, beginner artist, and they didn't really receive any interaction or likes and such. So I just felt like I should try and encourage them. So I just left a comment saying like, hey, it looks great, keep up the great work, and I'm looking forward to what you create next. Yeah, back then I didn't really think much of it, but apparently it did mean a lot to them. So after a couple of days, I actually received a notification, and it turned out that that person created an art piece dedicated to me, and yeah, I just remember how happy it made me. And it wasn't a masterpiece or anything, but that didn't matter to me. It just made me so happy, and yeah, that feeling is something that I hold close to me ever since that day. And yeah, I just kind of decided on that point, like, hey, I want to be able to do the same to others. I want to be able to create and impact people. So I decided to draw again and take it more seriously this time. And even if I started to draw with that purpose in mind, something else happened when I actually started again. And it's difficult to explain, but it just felt like I found the thing for me. I found what I wanted to become. I found what I wanted to do in life, and yeah, I just found my my passion. It's so weird to describe because I never had that feeling with anything else, but I just felt so strongly about it, and I was always looking for the thing that I wanted to do in my future, and yeah, ever since that day, I just found it all of a sudden. And it's so weird to have such a strong feeling towards something. But yeah, that's kind of how it happened to me. And ever since the day, I just kept drawing almost every day to just try and improve. My first year was mostly copy art or hard reference art. Basically just drawing something you see on screen and trying to replicate that on paper. And within a year, I started to become pretty good at it. But I understood that, hey, if you want to do something with art in the future, you have to learn to make original art, to learn anatomy, to learn shading, values, all that kind of stuff. So I decided like, hey, okay, I'm gonna stop with this kind of art. I'm gonna start learning how to create original art. And that was definitely a difficult time for me because it just felt like I needed to start all over again. Because the drawings that I made while trying to make original art were so bad compared to the drawings I did before, right? And that's because you have to imagine everything yourself. You have to try and really understand anatomy and how it works. And it was also the turning point where I switched over from traditional art to digital art. And that's because I always looked, at those amazing artists that drew digitally, and I always felt that was so amazing and it looked so clean and such. And that with the ability to just easily undo mistakes and such, I thought that the digital medium would be the perfect place for me to just start with this original art thing for me. So yeah, I got really, really into it. That passion that I felt in the beginning only grew stronger and stronger, and I actually started a Patreon. And yeah, it's not the first time that I'm creating a Patreon, it's actually the second time. And that was around 4 or 5 years ago, I would say. And I had a couple of tiers, and well, as expected, for months and months on, I didn't have a single Patreon, of course. But eventually, I actually received my first and only Patreon. And I just remember how happy I was. I was jumping in the air. I immediately, told people around me like, hey, I finally received a Patreon. I have someone that's willing to support me. And they even took the highest tier, which was 10 euros. And for 10 euros, I would make them a piece for them every month. You could see it like a commission, because it's basically something that they wanted me to draw. And yeah, I was so happy about it. But after doing that for a couple of months, I also realized, like, I think I got a little bit ahead of myself. I was so caught up in my passion and the drive that I felt, that I forgot that, hey, you probably have to become a little bit better at art. You have to try and, become or get closer to a professional level, because you're definitely not there. So yeah, basically, after doing that for a couple of months, I decided to just stop with Patreon, because I realized that I need to focus on getting a lot better first before doing something like that again. So I quit, and yeah, the years after, I just focused on getting better, practiced, and eventually I was even able to do commissions, which was a huge achievement for me. And yeah, after just doing art almost every day in my free time and following education, I was finally done with my education as a software engineer. And that's the time where I finally said to myself, like, okay, Endo, you're done with that now. Now it's time to focus on your dreams and to start working on something you actually want to become, which is art. And that's kind of where I am at the moment. I've been drawing and trying to improve over the years. I started a company. I was able to create a web shop, do commissions on the side, and hopefully people are able to see that I'm really passionate about art. I'm not doing it to become rich or anything close to that. I just want to become an artist and make a small living. I just want to keep doing what I love doing the most, and hopefully creating a Patreon can help me get close towards that goal, because I'm far from that still. So I hope that was short enough. I'm sorry if it wasn't the most professional thing ever. I did not have a script for it, and I'm not really used to talking to myself. It's weird. But I just want to tell you guys a little bit about myself and the journey that took me to this point, so you know the person you are supporting. So to end it all, I just want to say thank you all so much for the support you've shown me over the years, whether that be a single like, a heartfelt comment, or even supporting me financially. It honestly means so much to me, and I'm looking forward to many more years as an artist, and hopefully I'll reach my goal someday. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. Goodbye.